Corla, and just to thank your office for giving me the opportunity to debate this issue this afternoon, and also to thank Minister Shortall for coming into the Chamber to respond to this debate. Minister, I very much welcome the recent announcement by your department and the Minister that under new procedures a medical card will remain valid irrespective of the expiry date on the card once the medical card holder is genuinely engaging with the HSE review process. Given the long delays in processing medical card applications, this should bring some relief to applicants, or particularly those renewal applicants who have been turned down and who feel that they have strong grounds for appeal. Under the new procedure, members might be aware that while an appeal is being processed, the claimant should be able to present the existing card to the doctor or pharmacist, who can check out the validity of that card on the website medicalcards.ie. Now, what this does in essence is that if somebody's card is under review, they can present it at the desk of the pharmacist or at their GP. They go online and they see that the card is under review, and it allows them to remain within the system. But however, there lies the problem. If I take the example of a constituent who called to my office, who had been engaged in the review process and who had been granted a medical card, a full medical card for over a decade or longer, but on review was issued a GP card, and in appeal when they went to the pharmacist, they found that they were actually locked out of the system. And given that, the arising difficulty then of having to meet the medication costs while they're locked out was an ongoing problem for them. So they obviously appeal that, but the appeal process isn't working on the online basis. So the situation here is that when they checked the GP visit card online, what should have been showing is that the card was under review. It showed that a GP visit card was actually granted, and we have a difficulty here now where a technological system, which is supposed to make the system more efficient, is actually a cause of a problem itself. So what I would be putting to the Minister this afternoon, Ciaran Lynch, is that for the new procedure to work, the medical card database must be up to date, and it must be cognizant of the appeals process, which is actually under examination. My own office has actually tested this out, and while not scientific, or I wouldn't claim that the examination was scientific, we entered a selection of valid medical cards, we entered a selection of GP cards, full medical cards, and drug payment scheme cards, and none of them were recognised by the system. So there is a technological difficulty here. So in bringing this matter before the House this evening, I would ask the Minister to examine this issue and to explore how this difficulty can be surmounted. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Thanks, Ciaran Lynch. I want to thank Deputy Lynch for raising this issue. I'm very conscious of the fact that there have been serious difficulties and delays in the processing of medical cards, both from the point of view of applications, renewals and appeals. And I've been in ongoing discussions with the HSE over recent months in this regard in order to ensure that the level of service that's provided to the public is brought up to an acceptable level, because it's not acceptable what's happening at the moment. I want to take this opportunity just to clarify a number of developments that have taken place in recent weeks and months, which should improve the situation. First of all, any medical card holder undergoing a review for a renewed card who genuinely engages with the HSE in that review will retain their entitlement to the medical card until such time as the HSE has decided on the outcome of that review. And this new procedure applies to individuals regardless of the expiry date shown on their medical card. Secondly, the eligibility of all standard medical cards for people under 66 has been extended to 3 years, and for people aged 66 and over, that's been extended to 4 years. Thirdly, a self-assessment review process is now in place for all standard renewals for all clients, regardless of age. Discretionary cards, emergency cards and cards held by people in a small number of other categories will continue to be reviewed in the normal way. Fourthly, a fast-track decision process and the associated technical changes have been put in place to deal with urgent review cases. And fifthly, in addition to these practices, changes to the processes for medical card applications, 20 additional staff were redeployed to the central office in January to bring its complement up to 150 people, and I hope that this will help in improving the level of service. I know that Deputy Lynch is particularly concerned in relation to the whole question of appeals of medical cards, and in that regard I want to say that it is HSE policy that a person should have their eligibility maintained while they are awaiting the outcome of an appeal. I will ask the HSE to immediately ensure that this policy is applied in respect of the case that the Deputy highlights, and to ensure that adequate procedures are in place to ensure mistakes such as this are prevented in future. I will also engage further with the HSE in relation to the points the Deputy makes in respect of the medicalcard.ie website, and I've taken note of the points that the Deputy has made, and indeed I had a similar complaint just the other day. On the broader issue of appeals, I have had very constructive engagement with the HSE in recent weeks in relation to addressing the backlog in medical card appeals. Extra staffing resources have been deployed in this area just in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the backlog in appeals is being reduced. In the past few weeks, a total of over 500 files have been cleared, and I expect that this progress will continue to be made. Staff in that department and the senior people there have assured me that they are targeting the end of April as the date by which time most of the backlog should have been addressed, and I have asked for regular updates in relation to the progress in this regard. So I'd be very hopeful that in the coming weeks we would see a very significant improvement in this area, because I accept fully what members have been saying about this. The current level of service has not been acceptable. Thank you, Deputy, for raising this matter.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Lynch.
Thank you, Ciaran Lynch, and to thank the Minister once again for coming into the Chamber to respond to this issue, and to acknowledge the categorical statement made here this evening that people who are under review are entitled to maintain or to be provided with a treatment under earlier qualification. The difficulty here is that we have a systems difficulty as opposed to a policy difficulty. The policy is actually quite correct, but there is a systems difficulty that needs to be sorted out, and I appreciate the Minister's response in terms of dealing with this and dealing with this in a speedily fashion this afternoon. As a means of a supplementary question, I'll ask you, I'd like to ask Minister Shortall, in the programme for government and towards the programme for government's rollout of a universal healthcare programme, one of the initial or early stages of this process is the doctor-only medical cards would be provided for long-term illness patients. And if I could, because this is a similar sort of process of broadening the qualification process for the medical cards, if the Minister could just inform me this afternoon how that part of the universal healthcare programme is developing at the moment.
Thank you.
Fine, thank you. I'm happy to do that. Yes, as you say, Deputy, the programme for government commits to introducing free GP care during the lifetime of this government, and the first phase of that is to be introduced shortly, and that is to bring all of the existing claimants of free drugs under the long-term illness scheme in under free GP care under that initiative. That does require legislation. It's a fairly short, straightforward bill, but it does require primary legislation. Work on that is well underway at this point. We'll be hoping to bring a memo to government within the next few weeks and produce the legislation following on from that. I will be seeking to have that legislation taken as quickly as possible, both through this House and through the Seanad. It's quite a backlog of bills that are stacked up there to be taken, including a number of health bills. So I will be seeking to get that legislation through as soon as possible, and I would hope that that first cohort of people will be brought into the free GP care initiative in the early summer. All right, thank you.
Thank you.